Okay, I finally worked up the motivation to watch the first episode of Star Trek Picard Season 3. After last season, I just couldn't be sold on any kind of hype for it, and there's been a lot of hype for this season. And I've seen a few people on social media who openly hated the first two seasons, some even more than I did, which is really saying something. And they talk about this episode like Star Trek is back, like they have righted the ship, and it's going to be great from here on out. And that only made me more suspicious. And so far, at least, I think I was right to feel that way, because this episode was nothing more than nostalgia bait. I don't know how you feel, but I feel absolutely pandered to on every level. It's as if the writers said, well, some people really didn't like season 1 and season 2. What could it be? Could it have been the writing? No way. Could it have been the characters or the story? Definitely not. We were flawless on that end. It must be that they just wanted more references and Easter eggs. That's got to be it. And that's really all you get in this episode. I mean, spoiler warning, there's going to be some spoilers in this. So just, be aware of that. I'm going to be talking about a little bit of details in the episode. The very first thing you see, or hear actually, is the captain's log of Picard from the Best of Both Worlds. It's playing on Dr. Crusher's ship. And there's really no reason for that to happen other than nostalgia. There's a connection in the episode to Best of Both Worlds, a small one. But there's no reason for the log to just be playing randomly. I mean, that's just there to rope you in and say, hey, we've seen Star Trek too. So I just rolled my eyes when that happened. And there's an action sequence with Dr. Crusher. And she uses a pump-action phaser rifle to violently vaporize some fucking alien dudes. Which, whatever. That's kind of a staple of New Trek. But I guess I can't get hung up on that. And she obviously is in trouble. She sends a message to Picard, specifically to his old Enterprise D communicator, which is obviously another nostalgia reference. Although, to be fair, this one maybe actually makes some kind of sense, because I could see how it would be a secure line to use something like that after all these years. And Picard can see that she needs help, and she says not to trust anyone in Starfleet. So this is another situation where Starfleet, all of it apparently, is potentially the bad guy. The cynical nature of it. Starfleet is exclusionary. They hate androids. They hate ex-Borg drones, but only one's named 7 of 9. And now they're just an evil empire that cannot be trusted. So Picard enlists the help of Riker. He might not be able to trust Starfleet, but he can trust his old number 1, surely. And they decide to go aboard the USS Titan. The original Titan was Riker's old ship, but this is now the Titan A, which is also another nostalgia reference, because this new version of the Titan is apparently a Neo-Constitution class. The Constitution class was, of course, Kirk's Enterprise. So the design of the Titan A is supposed to remind you of that, tugging shamelessly at your nostalgia pubic hairs. And it's nostalgia that doesn't even really make sense. The Constitution class was Kirk's Enterprise. It would make more sense if it was a Neo-Galaxy class ship to remind you of the Enterprise D. But I guess they felt that would be a little too on the nose, and you might actually notice that this is shameless pandering. I mean, why would Starfleet have a retro designed ship? I mean, it's not a car company, right? And the first officer of the Titan is 7 of 9. And her captain somehow forces her to call herself Commander Annika Hansen. I mean, we'll get to him in a minute, but how can that be? How can they force 7 to call herself by a name that she doesn't really identify with? Makes no sense. And it also makes no sense that she is a commander in Starfleet. She was excluded from Starfleet for stupid reasons, because she was a Borg drone. for no other reasons than the writers just wanted Starfleet to be exclusionary, despite the fact that they allowed other Borg drones like Egypt in Starfleet. And here she is, as a commander. Did she graduate from the academy? They just went from, no, you can't join Starfleet, to, okay, you can be in Starfleet and you can be a full commander and first officer on a starship. I don't get it. It makes no sense. And I get that her experience makes her capable of this job, but, I'm not saying otherwise, but she's still got to start from the bottom. Everybody does. I mean, when Data joined Starfleet, he was more than capable than your average Starfleet cadet, but he still had to go through the schooling. He still had to graduate. Unless this is the J.J. Abrams verse, which, let's face it, we know it is. Come on. Where you can graduate from the academy and become captain of the Enterprise in a single day. It's just annoying and pointless. There was no reason to exclude Seven from Starfleet to begin with. And Riker and Picard want to pretend like this is some sort of inspection of the Titan, despite the fact that they aren't really in Starfleet anymore, and there couldn't possibly be any verifiable orders that say they're doing this. And they want to take the Titan to Beverly's location to help her. And the captain of the Titan, Captain Shaw, is the most cliche, insufferable dickhead I've ever seen. He invites them to dinner, and he starts eating before they even get there. His blue milk steak, or whatever the fuck this is, it looks fucking horrendous. And he is the most passive-aggressive fuckface I've ever seen. I mean, it's laughable how condescending and dismissive he is to Riker and Picard. He tells Riker his fucking jazz sucks. So at least someone finally said it, I guess. And when they say they want to take the Enterprise to this location, he says no. And he leaves the dinner table. He also seems to hate former Borg. He takes a shot at Picard and Seven over that, which again doesn't make sense. If he hates Borg, why is Seven his first officer? Captains pick their senior staff. Whatever. And I'm fine with him saying no to this request. He should say no, because it's kind of stupid. But everything else about him is so cartoonish and ridiculous. I just couldn't stand it. And of course, Geordi LaForge's daughter is the helmsman of the Titan, because why not? It's a small galaxy. And there's also a scene that kind of implies that Picard's memory is slipping. He also has some stiffness in his hands, which is strange because he's a fucking android. Why do the fans have to keep reminding this show that Picard is a robot now? Unless you want to totally retcon that, which seems to happen. I mean, there's basically no references to season 1 or 2 of Picard in this episode. Maybe it was all a dream, which in a way I would be fine with because they were horrendous in my opinion. And there are some more nostalgia references, of course. Raffi is back, and she's doing her own thing in this episode. She ends up seeing some kind of terrorist attack that looks like it kills thousands of people by using some kind of giant portal gun to destroy a building. So we have another Death Star. Fucking fantastic. And Raffi isn't completely insufferable yet, so that's good. But I'm sure that's coming soon. And I can't say whether or not this story is going to be good. We just don't have enough information yet. It's possible that it could be good. Although it is revealed that Beverly Crusher has a son that nobody knew about. We'll see what kind of an obnoxious direction that takes us. Hopefully they aren't going to make him Picard's long-lost son. Because, they just fucking might. Because Star Trek right now is just long-lost relatives. That's what they do now. And it's pretty fucking hilarious that they gave Beverly a whole new kid instead of just reuniting them with Wesley. There's just something funny about that. I don't know. And obviously the crew is going to get back together and fight some evil bad guy. We don't really know what's going on because everything's got to be a mystery, just like last season. But you can always tell that there's going to be an evil bad guy. especially when there's a ship that shows up with claws on it. I mean, that's what happens at the end of this episode. There's a Star Trek ship with claws on it that shows up. They've been doing that since Nemesis. Evil bad guys in claw ships with a Hitler Youth hairdo. That's what we're dealing with in this show right now. And I guess we'll find out who exactly that person is next week. But so far, I'm not impressed. It's very cynical. The dialogue is still questionable, although it's better than it was last season. And I'm just not feeling it. It's a blatant course correction, but it still feels like it's coming from this place of total Star Trek incompetence. I know that's harsh. It just feels like pandering to me so far. But I can definitely see how fans might feel this is at least a step in the right direction, and maybe it will be. But I'm just not feeling it yet. And as always, let me know your thoughts on it. How do you feel about it? And I still have no idea if there's going to be a video next week about Star Trek Picard. I don't know if I should tackle it week to week or do a bunch at once or just wait till the end to do a season review on it. I guess we'll see. It depends on what happens in the episode. If it annoys me, there'll probably be a video next week. 9 more episodes of this shit. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to get back to making videos that are hopefully a little bit more fun than this. I'm currently working on a video about a movie, which will probably be a doozy, so keep an eye out for that. And I'm also going to try to start getting to some of your requests finally. You know, I've asked for suggestions, and then I almost never do them, because I'm an unfocused fool, which I'm sure you can tell by the erratic nature of this video. And I apologize. So keep an eye out for those. And until next time, take it easy.